accept. Where them hands, where them holes, where them throws, you know what I'm saying?
Buy my book, A Martial Arts Philosophy, available at lulu.com. That's LULU.com. Go there and search for Cecil Washington, A Martial Arts Philosophy. Now, let me preface this by saying the same dangers that are present in judo chokes have been dangers that when people do pressure points in dim mak practice and applications, they've known about this. I just found out that the United States Judo Federation, for a while now, I believe it's been 4 years at the time of this video, has decided that you cannot do judo chokes, shimewaza, on people over 60. Yes, especially in competition. So I checked with a couple of judokas that are more current in the art than me, and they were saying that, yeah, we've been doing that, so we let the older people practice on the younger people. And I replied, that's the same thing that we have to do with Demak, pressure points, Kyusho Jitsu, stuff that the internet swears is fake, right? That you have to really, if you're going to apply it, the people taking the impact need to be younger people, like even under 50 if possible. The younger, the better, but not too young. Not under like 12 or 13, because plaque can break off and there can be nerve damage. Now, I know that the internet doesn't like to believe in these things. So I decided to modernize and use Google's AI. AI is the source of my information. So if you want to argue with me, internet, argue with AI. Sometimes you should argue with AI because AI is not 100% perfect. But in this instance, AI has gotten it right. If you don't know who I am, my name is Cecil Washington. I created the style I call Cecil Ryu Martial Arts. When I teach it, either teach it as Cecil Ryu Taekwondo or Cecil Ryu Judo. Want to know more about that? Check out the About tab. So I am the founder and highest degree in that particular system that's now been certified by World Budo Alliance and was previously certified also by United States Head of Family Martial Arts Association. Enough credentialing. So this little AI research I put together, I call Pressure Points and Judo Choke Dangers. I'm going to try to go through this as quickly as possible. So the main thing is plaque from the arteries that builds up and can dislodge when you apply these techniques. So it's not just chokes, because I remember when I was going up for my judo shodan, I thought chokes were just about the safest thing in the world to do. No. And if you look around the internet, even some young people have had strokes from that do chokes in BJJ. Look it up. Pressure points arterial plaque dangers. Arterial plaque or arteriosclerosis occurs when fatty deposits called plaques build up on the inner walls of your arteries. These deposits, made of cholesterol, calcium, and fibrin, narrow the vessel's openings, lumen, and make the wall stiffer, restricting the flow of oxygen-rich blood to your body. Dangers of arterial plaque. Heart attack. When a plaque blocks blood flow to the heart, it can cause chest pain, angina, or lead to a heart attack. Stroke. Plaque in the carotid arteries next can break off to form a clot that travels to the brain, cutting off its blood supply. Peripheral artery disease. Build up in the legs or arms can cause extreme pain, numbness, or even gangrene, which may require amputation. Now, see, that's why those type of things are deadly. That's why those strikes are deadly, internet. And that's why now they found that the choking techniques are deadly. And there's a reason why they don't do it in the cage, because the cage is not supposed to be about unaliving people. Kidney failure. Narrowed arteries to the kidneys prevent them from filtering waste properly, leading to chronic kidney disease. Aneurysms. Plaque can weaken artery walls, causing a bulge that may burst and lead to life-threatening internal bleeding. So I just wrote these out here. These are some sources that the AI referred to. The role of pressure and rupture. Vulnerable plaque. Most heart attacks are caused by soft or vulnerable plaque, inflamed areas with a thin cap that can easily rupture. High blood pressure. Increased pressure damages the delicate lining of the arteries, endothelium, making it easier for plaque to form and eventually rupture existing plaques. Blood clots. If a plaque ruptures, the body attempts to heal it by forming a clot, which can cause instant block to an entire artery. When you combine combat pressure point manipulation with arterial plaque, the primary damage is a mechanical failure of the vascular system. For older adults or those with high cholesterol, the arteries are not just narrow, they are structurally unstable. You know, a lot of people walking around these days, they don't have to be old to have high blood pressure or high cholesterol. They can just have a bad diet, bad lifestyle, or unfortunate genetics. Applying the debris risk embolic stroke. Applying pressure points to points in their major arteries, specifically the carotid area, that they have you choke in judo, can physically compress the vessel wall. Anything here on the sides of the neck. Plaque rupture, embolism, arterial dissection. As we age, arteries become stiffer and more brittle. If you've gotten any kind of depth into Eastern philosophy, it says that the stiff tree breaks, but the pliable little sprout goes with the wind, trying to tell you not to be too hard in your training, because if you're too hard, you can break. But there is some natural stiffening and hardening that comes with age. And if you rupture it, you can get hurt, Tearing. A sharp strike or intense pressure to a vital point can cause the inner lining of the artery to peel away from the outer wall. Blood trapping. Blood then pools between these layers, quickly blocking flow to the brain or heart. And sometimes this could be a delayed reaction. That's the type of stuff you hear about with these delayed death touch things. Vagal shark and heart irregularity. Many pressure points overlap with the carotid sinus, a bunch of sensors that manage your heart rate. The kill reflex. In patients with arteriosclerosis, these sensors are often hypersensitive. The results: stimulating these points can trick the brain into thinking blood pressure is too high, causing a sudden, massive drop in heart rate, bradycardia, or even cardiac arrest. And I just spoke about delayed onset dangers. The most insidious danger is that these injuries are not always immediate. A plaque rupture or minor dissection caused by a training session can lead to a stroke or heart attack hours or even days later, long after the pressure was applied. These dangers highlight the extreme risk associated with applying pressure points to areas with arterial plaque and should be avoided entirely. Now, you see, this is why we practice forms. This is why those of us who do, I can't even say that my system is quote unquote traditional because I founded it. But what I do like to call those things that are traditional and based on traditional methodology, this is my personal term. I like to call them classical martial arts, like classical music. Just like people are still writing new classical music pieces that if you put them in a genre, they would be with Bach, Mozart. Understand what I'm saying? Beethoven, that type of thing. I call them classical martial arts. They have forms. They're not all punch kick, but they have that type of structure to them. Now, even though judo is not really considered a martial art by a lot of people, they consider it to be more of a combat sport. I consider the whole of judo to be a martial art. But let's move over into judo now for combat sport. Why judo chokes are dangerous for older adults. Why are judo chokes dangerous for older adults? AI? Judo chokes, or shimewaza, pose significantly higher risk for older adults due to age-related challenges in the vascular and neurological systems. While generally considered safe for healthy young athletes, the mechanical stress of a choke can trigger life-threatening events in seniors. So let's go over the risks. Risk of arterial plaque rupture. Older practitioners, judokas, are more likely to have arteriosclerosis, plaque buildup in the carotid arteries. And it's the same thing that we talked about with pressure points. Embolic stroke, the compression can cause plaque to break loose, sending fragments to the brain and causing a stroke. Delayed symptoms, injuries to the blood vessels may not be immediately apparent. A stroke can occur hours or even days after the session training. Carotid artery dissection, because like I said before, like AI said before, the arteries in older adults are less elastic, so this can lead to tearing, mechanical tearing, especially one involving extreme neck rotation or shearing forces, can tear the inner lining of the carotid or vertebral arteries. That's why I don't like neck cranks. Now, I don't do neck cranks in judo per se, without the arm being in there, but that's why I don't like neck cranks. Vulnerability. These dissections are a leading cause of stroke in contact sports and can result in permanent neurological defects. Hypersensitive baroreceptor reflex. The carotid sinus contains pressure sensors, baroreceptors, baroreceptors, that can help regulate heart rate and blood pressure. And when you play with those, you can cause a person to faint. And if they're older, that faint may not be a good idea. In older adults, these sensors can become hypersensitive. Pressure on the carotid sinus can trigger an extreme vagal response, leading to a sudden drop in heart rate or cardiac arrest. Heart attack. Delayed recovery. While younger athletes usually reboot quickly after a choke, the reduced barial reflex sensitivity in seniors can make the recovery process more unstable and dangerous. Fragility of neck structures. Cervical spine health. Many seniors have degenerative disc disease or spondylosis. I had never heard of that condition. The force of a choke can exacerbate these conditions, potentially displacing vertebral arteries and causing a posterior circulation stroke. Brittle anatomy, cartilage in the throat, like the hyoid bone or thyroid cartilage, may become calcified and brittle with age, making it more likely to fracture under pressure. Due to these risks, some judo organizations have considered or implemented bans on shimewaza, which means chokes, for practitioners over 60. Now, I've always been told by critics that you shouldn't just talk about problems, you come up with solutions. How we've solved it in classical martial arts is that there are moves that you just don't practice on people. You practice them on the air or on a dummy or on somebody who can take it. I can lend out my neck for a few more years, but once I hit 60, you ain't choking me. You're not. You ain't choking me. We have grappling dummies if we want to practice these chokes. You don't have to practice it on that. If I can't get a hold of a grappling dummy, I'm going to put a judo uniform, or even this one, because when I cross-train my students in the judo, we typically just use the same uniform. So that's going to go on a teddy bear, and we're going to practice it that way. When people test, they'll put their hands in the positions for the chokes and do not apply pressure. Nope. Won't be doing that. You're just going to indicate it. See, this is why some styles have forms, because there really are things that are too dangerous for you to practice on someone, especially in the name of a contest. Now, another thing that a lot of my critics say is nobody wants to see you talk, do something. And it's a shame too, because the main people that could benefit from this information are people who don't have the patience to watch this video. And there's nothing I can do about that. So, what are some other solutions? I said some of these moves people can just fit on. Some of these moves, the people taking the impact are going to have to be young people who are still fall within the, I would say, ages 15 to 55 or 15 to 60. They're going to have to be the ones to take the impact. Or you're going to have to find a way to practice them on some type of a dummy or some type of grappling dummy apparatus. So this can kind of beg a question of, are some of these activities too dangerous for older athletes or older, practitioners, people that are hobbyists? Because I consider myself Even though I'm teaching this, even though I created my own system and, gotten that all recognized, certified, and all like that, I still consider myself to be a hobbyist. It's not how I make my primary living at the time of this video. I had an opportunity to, though, to make it my primary living. Not yet, though. Not at the time of this video. And I have used what I've learned in real situations, so I'm confident in it. And I'm confident enough in it to say that despite these dangers, as long as you are aware of these dangers and you practice with people who respect your limits, who don't think that every single demonstration and sparring session is competition, you can be just fine in the martial arts and combat sports. You just got to work out with people that don't want to hurt you, that don't think they need to prove something in order to hurt you, who don't think that everything is combat. I hate to admit this, but there were times when if I saw a professional athlete come through, especially if they're what I would say would be a professional martial arts or a combat sport athlete come through some places and they want to work out. Well, I've heard other people say offhandedly, that I knew them, but I would hear, if I managed to overhear the conversation, there's certain folks, certain places they wouldn't work out if they had a match coming up. They didn't want to risk injury. I'd be like, oh man, just because I felt like there's no way I could hurt them if I wanted to. If anything, I would be learning from them, beating up on me a little bit. But the more and more I spend time in the martial arts, man, I don't blame them. I really don't. I don't blame them at all. Why risk yourself when you're not getting paid? Why risk your health and injury when you're not getting paid? When you're paying to participate in an activity, it's not worth risking life and limb. Now, some of the other stuff I found around this also is some recommendations. I have to say this, just to be honest. Some of the AI results said, if you're over 60, do Tai Chi. They said it. Some of the AI results said it. Just do Tai Chi. I don't agree with that either, because I can tell you, I've seen people injured, and I've seen people injured in all types of physical activity, stuff that's not even combative, just because the environment was destructive. Just because the environment was destructive. You're just supposed to be stretching and somehow somebody gets injured. People got injuries doing some exercise classes and things that I never encountered when I'm involved in something where somebody's trying to kick me in the head. We got to respect each other. We're in this stuff to learn how to defend ourselves, to get some exercise, for health and to have fun. There's no reason to murder each other. And this is the thing, too. This is the thing. Now, if you just got to be Sparta, number one, if you just got to be Sparta, don't come to Cecil Martial Arts. But number two, there's a club out there for you, though, where they are Sparta. It's just not mine. So if you see this video, when you hear this stuff and you're wondering, man, I really would like to take lessons with that guy, but I'm worried about this type of stuff. What are we going to do? How am I going to get promoted? How am I going to learn? I will do all of my effort and best. I'll put my best foot forward. I'll do everything I can to make it safe for you so you don't have to worry about this type of stuff. And you can still learn. Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. And share some people like to talk about the martial arts and peace. And as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And now, Internet, you know why there are forms and that there really are techniques that are just too deadly. Peace. And thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Make my pockets fatter. If I make my pockets fatter. After crying, tears are drying. I'm relying on the Lion, Lord of Zion. Trials and iron that sharpen my strength and spirit. Sending me letters, at least in the lyrics. Making me better despite how I fear it. Brighten my weather when I persevere it. Abundance and wealth and oneness. I become this child of God who serves his function. his instruction. I learned the word is the Father. Spoke about Jesus and ain't more than drama. To heal a man who could not hear sonatas. God give us blessings for fathers to mamas. If fatter, make my pockets fatter. If fatter, make my pockets fatter.